Today I'm going to be sharing with you some of my favorite easy, low maintenance, lazy gardening flowers. Not because we're lazy. No, you, me, we're not lazy. Okay, we just have things to do and people to care for. And we still deserve to enjoy a gorgeous, beautiful, thriving garden with minimal effort. It's the perfect relationship and it does exist, and I'm going to share some of my favorite flowers to help you achieve that. I tried my best to pick flowers that are going to be low maintenance in most of the gardening zones. I'm talking zones 3-ish through 9-ish. So all of these flowers are going to kind of fall into the same categories of they don't like really rich soil. They're all going to really benefit from well draining soil. They're very drought resistant. But I will say that the one caveat is that while these plants are establishing in your garden, so that's usually like the first 2 to 3 weeks that they're really kind of getting their roots in and getting used to your garden, you will want to water them fairly regularly to help them kind of establish in your garden. After that, low maintenance, okay? No watering, no feeding. You don't really have to cut them back. Those are my like low maintenance, easy parameters. So I want to start off by talking about the Grandmama of the low maintenance flowers, because in general, I do think that bulbs as a group are the ultimate like set it and forget it flower, and they're just so easy to grow. Allium, those are really fun to add to your garden. They're really pretty when you dry them, and they're part of the onion family, so they're also delicious. Crocus is very low maintenance, just pop them in the ground. Certain types of like bearded iris are really pretty and low maintenance. And then of course, tulips. I do think that some of the like hybrid varieties of tulips can be a little bit unreliable when it comes to like multiplying and coming back year after year, but that's not usually like a huge deal for me because I just buy new varieties every year, plop them out there, you're good to go. Easy peasy. So let's talk about sedum. Okay, because I don't think that there is a more reliable plant when it comes to surviving neglect than sedum. It is a dream come true. Hello, beautiful. Thank you for thriving in all of my negligence. I love it. But the really cool thing about sedum is that it is a perennial succulent, so it actually stores all of its water in its leaves. There are 2 main types that you can add to your garden. We have like upright sedum, which can get up to like 2 feet tall, and then the creeping sedum, which is more of a ground cover. They prefer full sun, so that's around 6+ hours of sun, and I would say sedum is kind of on the higher side of full sun. A lot of times when it's not getting enough sun, the upright sedum can get kind of like floppier stems. If your soil is too rich, it will also get floppy stems. So just things to keep in mind, right? But that's what we're talking about. You don't need to fertilize, you don't need to use like really good, expensive soil. Just throw it in your garden. I would say late summer, early fall is when it tends to start blooming, which I think is always really fun because then you have something that's beautiful and new towards the end of your season that you get to enjoy, where a lot of your flowers and your earlier bloomers are starting to like fade, and then you have something new and beautiful to be excited about. You can cut it back in the winter when it's done blooming if you want to. I tend to think that it adds really pretty like interest and texture to your garden in the winter, and I am somebody that really likes that, so you can just leave it out. It's good for the birds, it's good for insects, but if you're not into that, you can definitely cut it back. It is also a plant that can benefit from being divided every 3 to 5 years, especially if it starts to get like really big in your garden. So next we're going to talk about a obvious favorite on this channel to me. I bring it up all the time. I personally think that makes me a loyal person. Okay, I like what I like, I know what I like, and I share it with you often. I'm not a flip-flopper, but honestly, it's just one of my favorite flowers that I grow, and that is Rudbeckia. It is a lovely lady, and I can't shut up about it. I don't know how many videos I have brought up Rudbeckia as my favorite because it is my favorite. Because I've talked about it so much, I won't gab on too much about it. You can check out one of those videos after this video, please, if you want. But I just love it, you guys. It's so pretty. I don't think that there's anything prettier than a double Rudbeckia flower. I love the Cherokee Sunset mix. I love the Sahara mix. I just use them so much in my cut arrangements. I think they're beautiful in my garden. They are perennial in my zone. I'm in zone 9A and my plants come back every year, but they also reseed like crazy. They are slowly or quickly taking over my entire garden beds. I don't think I'm mad about it. Okay, I think I kind of love it. So just keep in mind that you might have to in the springtime, like pull out some little plant babies if they start to get a little crazy and taking over everything. So I do that. Sometimes I did that a little bit this year because they're everywhere, but they're gorgeous. You know, I might very slowly just turn into a Rudbeckia cutting garden. And I kind of love that. Not gonna lie. They really tickle my, I'm not gonna say that. They really light my lantern, and I think that everyone should grow them, and I think that they're gorgeous, and I think that you'll love them as much as I do. Next, let's talk about Coreopsis, because I don't think that I ever have on this channel, not because I don't grow it, not because I don't love it, but because I don't grow it as a cut flower, and I primarily talk about my cut flower garden when I make these videos. I think it could be a cut flower if you wanted to use it. I never have. But that's besides the point. Anyways, it is a pollinator magnet, and it has a very like easygoing, wildflowery feel to it that I personally like just love. That's always the feel that I'm going for, whether it's on my balcony or it's in my garden. It starts blooming in late spring, so a little bit before all those summer flowers like really take off, which is just like fun to have that like bold pop of color in your garden before all the really like warm summer flowers start blooming. And then it blooms for a long time. I would say like into late fall, you're gonna keep having flowers. And the most important thing about this that I wanna say right now is that it will keep blooming that entire time, even without deadheading. I'm gonna say it again, even without deadheading. Okay, because there are some really easy flowers that you can grow that are low maintenance, except for the fact that they need to be deadheaded. Otherwise, they start to look like a little bit haggard and unruly, okay? My favorite one of those that fall into that category are cosmos. I love a cosmo. Cosmos are the love of my life, okay? They're so beautiful, they're so airy, they're so floaty, they're so wildflowery, they're all the things that I love. They're gorgeous. However, you gotta deadhead the heck out of them in order for them to stay beautiful. They tangle and weave their little tendrils into every little corner, and I spit, I'm sorry, I hope you didn't see that, into every little corner of my garden, and it drives me a little crazy. And if I didn't love them as much as I do, I don't know if they would be worth the effort of deadheading. So just know, they are a very low maintenance flower. Once they're established, they hardly need any water. They do need like really good sun. They're a heat loving flower. You don't have to do much to them, but you do have to deadhead them. But let's go back to Coreopsis. You don't have to deadhead them. If you do deadhead, obviously you're gonna enjoy a lot more blooms, which is great. We love that, but you don't have to. And I love that even more. Some other optional maintenance that come with Coreopsis, you can cut them back after the season, especially if you are growing the perennial varieties and they get like kind of leggy throughout your season. Cutting them back will help with that legginess for next year, but you don't have to. You can also grow the annual varieties. A lot of times those will still reseed, so it feels like a perennial because they'll keep coming back year after year and like spread their little plant seed all over your garden, which is fun and great. So think about adding some of those to your garden. Now, is it any surprise that I'm going to talk about yarrow? Look, I said it with Rudbeckia, I'll say it again. This is one of my favorite flowers, okay? And it is so freaking easy. It should be a shock to no one if you've been here a minute that I am always complaining about being short on time and like not getting all the things done that I need to get done. So it should be like no shock that some of my favorite flowers are very low maintenance flowers that I can just throw in my garden and like let them live and survive on inconsistent care. And yarrow is your girl when it comes to that. Okay, it is so beautiful. It's a pollinator magnet. I love it so much. If you are into like cottage core vibes and you don't grow yarrow, what are you doing? You don't know what you're missing out on. This flower is gorgeous. It's very old-fashioned. It's so beautiful. I love the like all the berry mixes and the pastel mixes because I just cannot get enough of those like soft yellows and soft pinks and even the like deep like fun bright purples. If you're into like really bold colors, you can go for like the Colorado mix. It is more of those like really hot like pink and red and yellow, and I would definitely check those out. With yarrow, if you want the easiest of the easy, I would say you could like buy starts. You can direct sow right in your garden. I think that they do the best with that. I direct sowed some of mine in like late fall and let them overwinter, and they're perfect and healthy. I've also started mine in seed blocks, and I find that they do really well in seed blocks. I didn't always have the best luck in like cell trays. That's not to say that you won't have luck with them in cell trays, but sometimes I think that there's just those flowers that are like easy for everybody else. And before I started planting my yarrow in soil blocks, they were difficult for me to germinate. Once you have them, once they're growing, super, super easy, but just keep that in mind. I don't know if everyone finds them difficult to start and to germinate, but it could just be a me thing. But if you have difficulties like starting them early, try just direct sowing them into your garden or buy starts. There's nothing wrong with buying starts. They are expensive, but I think that with certain plants like perennials that are going to come back and that actually multiply in your garden, sometimes it's like worth the money if you can afford to buy starts at your garden center. The main warning that I will say that goes along with that is that yarrow is a plant that likes to spread its tiny tendrils everywhere that it can. So keep that in mind. It can reseed a little bit, but mostly it spreads through like runners, and it will take over and bully some of your plants out of the way. You can, of course, just like pull them out of there if you're worried about that. You can plant them in containers. Mine are in raised beds. Every once in a while they reseed and I'll have some pop up here and there. If I don't want them where they're growing, I just yank them out and it's fine. But just something to keep in mind is that yarrow does like to spread, and it is a plant that benefits from being divided every 3 to 5 years. You don't have to, but it does kind of refresh your plants, and especially if it's starting to get really big, you know, you can give them away to friends, you can plant them in different areas of your garden, whatever works for you. So the next flower that I want to talk about is globe amaranth, also known as gomphrena. Now this baby can get big, so leave space. I think the first year that I grew them, I like planted a lot of them pretty close together, and man, did they just like balloon out in my little garden bed, and it was great. It was beautiful. I loved it. I cut so much from it and used it so much in all of my arrangements, and it's beautiful. You can dry it, so I personally don't feel like you can really have too much of it because there's lots of uses for it, but just know that it does tend to get like fairly big. Starts out little, gets kind of big. I planted some of it this year with my celosia starts, and I'm hoping that they don't like bully my celosia out of the way, but I think it's gonna be fine. I only did like a couple here and there, so it should be fine. But gomphrena is so fun and so easy to grow, and it just looks like this really tall, like wild clover. It's so pretty. It has really cool texture. I used it a lot as kind of like a filler slash foliage aspect to my arrangement, and the more you cut from them, the more they produce. They're definitely a heat lover, so wait to plant them in your garden until like all danger of frost has passed. I like to start mine from seed in my greenhouse. I've never had any issues with them not germinating. I think that they're actually a really easy seed to germinate, but they do need light in order to germinate. So I tend to just like scatter them in my little cell trays and then sprinkle a very light layer, like very light layer of vermiculite to help kind of retain moisture and still let all that light in. And I tend to have really high germination rates with them. I mean, this was one of the first flowers that I grew when I started my garden. I had zero idea what I was doing, like no idea what I was doing. And they grew like beautifully for me. So I do think that they're fairly beginner friendly, and I just think that they're so fun and kind of unexpected in your garden, and there's so many different colors that you can choose from. I'm growing like some little like pink ones this year, but I'm really drawn to like the orange colored Gomphrena, and I kind of wish I would have grown some of those this year. So I might actually throw some in my balcony garden just so that I get that like fun pop of like hot orange. I just think that that'll be so pretty and like summery. Now, before I talk about the very last one, which honestly is the flower that inspired this whole video, I want to give like a little honorable mention to a flower that I don't particularly love, but that we do have some of them in our garden, and they are known for being like super low maintenance and super easy, and that is the daylily. Not a very exciting flower, if I'm being honest with you. I do think that they're exciting in the way that they bloom, because each bud only blooms for a day, and they feel like they bloom forever because they do bloom for quite a long period of time, but it's because they have so many buds on the plants that like each flower blooms and then it's done. And I think that that's a really like interesting blooming pattern for a plant. I don't know. I find that kind of cool. I don't know if you do. So daylilies come in so many different colors. They smell so good, so delicious. If you have allergies, you'll hate them. Run for your lives. Okay. But if you don't have allergies, go nuts. They divide like crazy. They can almost live on like no water. Honestly, like our daylilies, I think just survive on rain. And I do live in the Pacific Northwest, but honestly, it doesn't rain as much in the summer as people assume that it does. So they get a lot of rain in the winter, but then like almost no water in the summer, and they do fine. They do like to spread everywhere, so keep that in mind. We have given so many like clumps of daylilies to our friends because they just keep taking over. They are very pretty. They are very low maintenance. It is one of those plants that like whenever my mom has like a patch of garden in the yard that she's like, I don't know what to do with this. I don't want to maintain it. I don't want to have to think about it. She usually is just like, I'm gonna put some daylilies in there and I don't have to worry about it because they're gonna be fine all on their own. And guess what? They always are. They survive just fine. Some people don't tend to like them because once they are done blooming, it is just like that bushy, like leafy, like greenery that, I don't know, you either like it or you don't like it. And if that's kind of the vibe that you're looking for of like, throw them in there and never think about them again, daylilies, they might be the choice for you. Okay, so that's my honorable mention because I would never probably talk about it as like a flower that I love, but it is a flower that we have and that serves a purpose, and you know, that might serve your purpose as well. Now, finally, I wanted to talk just briefly because I just made a video all about this flower, but I wanted to talk about the flower that inspired this entire video of low maintenance, easy flowers, and that is nasturtium. It is one of the most like beautiful, like you don't even have to think about it. It will grow like a dream in your garden while you just ignore it and let it do its thing. And I love that so much. There are so many different beautiful colors and like trailing, climbing, compact varieties that you can add to your garden. It's a trap crop. It will protect a lot of your other flowers. It brings in those pollinators. It's so good and I love it so much. It's one of my favorites. I could talk about it for a really long time, but I already did that. So I'll let you check that video out if you want to. In that video, I kind of touched on, you know, planting other flowers and plants that thrive on neglect with your nasturtium so that everything is in like a cohesive habitat of poor soil and low water and full sun. And through talking about that, I was like, maybe I should just make a whole video about like some of these flowers that you can plant with your nasturtium that are going to thrive in the same conditions. So here we are. I mentioned a few other ones in that video, things like lavender, things like salvia. So there are others that you can choose from, but these are some of my favorites. If you want to plant them with nasturtium, or if you just want like that low maintenance, easy, lazy gardening, not for the lazy gardener, for the not so lazy gardener who just has a lot going on in their lives, these are perfect plants for you to add. Okay, these are the plants that are going to thrive while you are also thriving in other areas of your life. Okay, these are, you don't have to spend too much time caring for them. They're going to live on their own. They're going to just be beautiful, and you can enjoy them. And when you need a break and you go to your garden, you have a place to just like sit and relax. And I feel like we all need that. We all want that. So enjoy these flowers, pick some of them. Let me know what some of your favorite low maintenance flowers are. If you have any questions, please let me know down in the comments, and I will see you guys all in the next one.